Yeah. So last week, obviously, very embarrassing for me. Did not have my team ready to play in any area of the game, and just. I got a chance Saturday night to watch a couple of guys. You watch some coaches do some interviews and they talk about their team and all that kind of stuff, and it's very kind of finger pointy. The kids didn't do this, kids didn't do that, players are this, that, whatever, soft, not physical, all that kind of stuff. Never really agreed with that motto because ultimately, they're a direct reflection of me. So I'm not going to sit up here and talk about things that we didn't do, plays we didn't make, and all of that kind of stuff, because ultimately that all falls back on me. And like I said, and for that, is the reason why I was pretty embarrassed with the way that we played, with how I had the guys prepared to go play, which apparently I didn't. We just didn't play well. Did not play well. Got beat in every aspect of the game. With that being said, my dad did send me a text. Thought it was pretty good, and he said, "Giving up on your goals because of one setback is like slashing all three tires because you got a flat." We talked about that with the team yesterday. Thought that was pretty good, and talked about anytime you got a flat, you don't slash the three other tires that you got that are good. You go to the shop and you get that tire fixed. Right? You put on a spare. You get to a place where you can get that tire fixed, and you go replace it and get it fixed. And that's what we're doing this week moving forward. And I had a really good conversation with the guys last night about that, and eager to play Eastern Illinois this week at home.
Some self-evaluation in the last 48 hours. Was there anything you look back and see in the last week that gave you any red flags you might have missed that rolled into Saturday?
Just undisciplined, undisciplined in a lot of phases. Class checks, missed classes. Go to eat pregame meal over at the Curris. Got a dude parked in the visitors parking spot just because it's closer to the front door. Thursday night, get done with team devotional. We do a voluntary team devotional on Thursday night. Walk outside into the locker room. Locker room looks like crap. We got pictures of what your locker should look like. Not one locker looks like that. I mean, not one. It ain't. You got 12 bad ones. So all of those things, it's kind of like when you talk, my brother was in the Army, and I always asked him, I said, "Hey, what's the big deal with making your bed? Like, why is that such a big deal?" And he goes, "Well, it's literally just the first thing that you can check off your list daily. Like, that's the reason why they do it, is because you can wake up, you can get that done, and then that kind of sets you in the mind frame of getting all the rest of your tasks done." And it's the same thing when you're either too undisciplined or too lazy to park in the spots you need to park to, wake your butt up to go to an early morning class, even though you don't feel like it and all of that kind of stuff, you're not going to feel like doing the things that you have to do to play well on Saturday, because that's a tough task. You're going to be mentally hurting and you're going to be physically hurting when you're out there. So like you said, is this a deal where I point fingers at them and go, "Hey, man, this is your fault"? No, absolutely not. It's my fault. Apparently, I'm holding that standard accountable enough, and I'm not holding them to that standard enough. So, in the words of my boss, we're going to shake the tree a little bit this week, and we're going to become a disciplined football team, because I've never. Been called a lot of things, been on some teams that's been called a lot of things. Undisciplined ain't never been one of them. And the other night we were very, very undisciplined. And while that hurt my feelings and that really sticks me hard, it's also very truthful. And so we're going to own up to that. We're going to fix that. We're going to shake the tree a little bit this week, because I personally think that every young person and every person regardless, they like discipline because discipline lowers your stress levels. When you know what's expected of you, because there's a standard to which you're supposed to do things, that allows you freedom, right, to go about your day knowing what you have to do. So in order for us to play as freely as I want us to play, to run around and strike people and play as physically as I want to play and play as fast as I want to play, there has to be a disciplined structure to that throughout the week, throughout the game, to have those guys that free of mind and have that caution withdrawn from their mind and their body so that they know exactly what's expected of them and they can go do it. And that's where we're at.
The lack of discipline that you saw during the week, was this something that just cropped up?
A little, some of which, yeah, some of it, some of it is new. Some of it is maybe like maybe something little that over a period of time has grown, right? It's the scratch that won't go away. It just kind of festers, and you keep itching it, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So some of it was new, some of it kind of catches you by surprise. Some of it kind of grew gradually over a period of a course of time. And like I said, my fault for not catching it sooner. Now the great thing is we've caught it now, at a period of time where all of our goals and all the things that we want to achieve back there in that room are still obtainable. Boy, especially in this league right now, boy, it's all bets are off right now in this league. But and I've said this a bunch, in any game, whether you win that game or whether you lose that game, you either let that game define you or you let it develop you. Okay, we're gonna make sure that this loss, because I think that you can learn a lot from a loss, especially a loss like this. We're gonna make sure that this loss develops us as a team, as coaches, as a head coach myself. We're gonna make sure that this, at the end of the day, this is going to be probably the best thing that ever happened to us. And I know that's very coach cliche, and you kind of roll your eyes, when somebody says something like that. But I'm gonna make dang sure this was the best thing that ever happened to us.
As far as the running game, I know the lack of production overall offensively with just 7 points, none against Toledo. How much of that lies on the lack of success with the running game?
Yeah. I mean, that's if you can't run it, you can't throw it. If you can't throw it, you can't run it. If you can't run it and you're forced to throw it, and you're not completing those balls, which if you can't run it versus a light box and they're dropping 8, boy, that sure does make it hard to throw it. If you can't throw it and complete it, that sure does make it hard to stay on the field. And all of a sudden you look at it, and I'm not a big time of possession guy. I can't be, because I want my guys to play fast. I want the offense to play fast. I want them to score points. But when you look at time of possession and all of a sudden they've played 3 quarters and your offense might as well played the first quarter and then got back on the bus, that's rough there. But the culprit to that is all of a sudden my offensive coordinator, right, has got one run that we feel comfortable with because the rest of them we're confused or whatever the case may be. I mean, instead of finding solutions to it, it's process of elimination, right? Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, only do this. Well, shoot. Now all of a sudden all we can do is throw the ball, and it makes us look bad, right? It makes us look undisciplined. Everybody's looking at it going, holy cow, man, these guys. And so, again, from a staff standpoint, we have to make sure that whether it's in the pass game, run game, special team, whatever the case may be, we got to limit the noise, limit the confusion, right? If we got dudes who are turned around looking at the ball, that means they're not fit up blocking. That's not good. And we've got to do a better job of preparing those guys for what they're going to see, and more so preparing them for what they won't see, whether that's by rules, go by your rule, whatever the case may be, and adjusting to that.
Did you maybe let, I guess, as the torchbearer for the program after Georgia, you were so proud of your guys?
Yeah.
You got this toughness.
Yeah.
We're here. Are you, this 2 weeks since kind of where the program is now, are you surprised by that letdown? Are you disappointed by that letdown, whether it's with you
Yeah.
personally, just how things kind of made a weird right turn?
Yeah, I'm disappointed in it because we talk a lot about earning a brand, okay, and confidence over entitlement, right? You're not entitled to a brand because you played one game that way. You have to earn that brand of ball over a period of time. And I still, to this day, I think we're the same football team. We just had a momentary, we had the pain of regret, right? We showed up to an opportunity and we did not protect our brand. We did not continue to develop our brand as a football team for whatever reason. And there's a lot of them that we talked about yesterday within the staff, within the team meeting settings. We weren't prepared to go fight for that brand the other night. And, does that stem from maybe me allowing those guys to be a little bit entitled to that brand? Probably so. And how I did that was maybe a lack of discipline. Maybe seeing something, well, they probably didn't mean to do that. It'd be okay, right? As opposed to attacking that issue and attacking that problem. So, like I said, it all falls on me. But there are some tangible things. Because it's one thing to sit up here and say a bunch of problems. It's a totally different thing to figure out solutions to them. And that's what I've been working on the last 48 hours.
For as tough as the offense was on Saturday, defensively, UT Martin rang up 53 plays in the first half. When you talk about that flat tire, how do you fix that particular flat tire, which was the defensive effort?
The defense of it? Yeah. We got to play more physical. We got our fanny road graded off the ball. Okay, and we didn't make tackles. We were in positions to make tackles. We didn't. We played very timid on the back end. Very timid. You want a hitch route? Throw your hitch route. All day, every day. Very timid. Okay? So we've got to be a little bit more confident and aggressive. If we have a job to do, we have to do that job. If we're man on two and that's our guy, we have to cover that guy, right? And we have to do that. We have to do our job. We have to make sure that we know our job. We're disciplined enough in the details of our job so that we can play that freely. And we can get a little tighter, or we can match that guy speed for speed because we're not worried about all of this other stuff. Does that make sense? Or we can, if our job is to be in the B gap and hold the B gap, I can hold the B gap at all costs because I'm not worried about the C gap and I'm not worried about the A gap. This is my gap. This is my job. I have to do this job with no caution in my body because I know that I know that I know this was my job. And if you do that, then in turn, what happens is all of this discipline that we're talking about, instead of it being like very rigid, you would think all this discipline makes you very rigid, right? No. What it makes you is it makes you free to go make plays, and it makes you faster, and you can play at that speed because you understand what's expected of you. And that is our charge. That's my charge to the staff. It's my charge to myself to make those guys understand that. Right, and put them in situations to where we're reinforcing that on a daily basis.
You said before that it's never as good as it looks, but it's also never as bad as it looks.
Right.
What was the good you saw in film from this last
Yeah, I probably should have never said that. It was worse than I thought it was going to be when I looked at the tape, to be perfectly honest with you. So I probably contradicted myself right there.
Tell us about Eastern Illinois. I know other than the Indiana game, they've been in virtually every game.
Yeah.
Touchdown or two.
Yeah.
Not as bad as that record.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest with you. The first thing that you got to look at is who they played. You know, they're not 0-5 against a bunch of slappies. You know, they played some good football teams and played them well. They have not had their doors blown off by anybody. They've been in every game. They do some things offensively very well. You know, and have good players offensively. Defensively, they have a lot of good players. So they're hungry. They're hungry, and now they're a shark in bloody water, you know, and that's all of those things culminate to make it a very special Saturday and a great opportunity for us because not only do we have to be ready to play and get all of our things fixed, and that's the biggest thing for me this week is not what we're doing, how we're doing it, not who we're doing it to, how we're doing it to them, right? But we've got a dang good football team coming in here Saturday to play us. Records aside and all of that kind of stuff, these guys have played some good football.
As you try to reinstill that discipline from the last 36 hours, what you've seen from your guys, is their reaction more, man, they're riding our tails, or, yeah, we need this?
Yeah, so it's all about how you do it too now. It's because what I told them was we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not changing what we're doing. We're going to do the exact same things that we've been doing. We're just going to do them in a more detailed fashion, in a more disciplined fashion. We're going to make sure that we're holding those things, holding them accountable to those things. So I think if we were to come in and go, hey, this crap hadn't worked, boom, here's your new thing. Here's your new rules. Here's your new all that. But it's not that. It's simply, hey, guys, I'm going to wear this. I'll wear this badge, right? Because what we do works, and I know it, and I believe it in my heart that what we do works. However, I've let you kind of stray away from the standard of which how we do those things, right? That's what we've got to get back to. My locker's kind of clean. Does it look like that picture? Well, I went to class. I was just 12 minutes late. You're late, right? It's no different than, well, I have him. My eyes went to the backfield. I know I'm in man coverage. My eyes just went into the backfield. That's not man coverage, right? So it's those things that just the details of them, right? We're not changing the ship. It's the details of them. And I think once we explain that to the guys, and I meet with our positional leaders on Sunday night, and I told them, I reinforced it again. And like you said, that was kind of their response was, good. This is what we needed. And even more so, their response was, we should have been helping, right? Those guys in that room, like Preston Rice raised his hand and says, man, I'm mad because I've seen things happen that I didn't say. I for whatever reason, maybe it was my buddy, maybe I just didn't realize that it mattered that much, and I didn't say anything about it. And now their mentality is we have to start holding ourselves accountable to that and each other accountable to that too. And if we'll continue on that path and we'll keep growing that way, whew, man. And I'll say it again. I said it a couple weeks ago. There's a dang good football team in this building right here. Dang good football team.
When you talk about shaking the tree, is that a depth chart thing, or is that just an all-around?
All-around thing. Standing at a podium during a press conference instead of sitting. Depth charts. Not schematics. Not schematics or anything. Not what we do. Maybe shake. It's. I'll give you a perfect example, just so you don't think I'm throwing this off the hip. Our defense at practice, right? They have a deal when we go team periods where they want to end every play, right, with everybody swarming the football. Okay, so, hey, the first practice we went out to, all 11 people had to be around that ball. All our 11 people had 1, 2, 3 swarm. Boom, and then you go run the next play, right? The issue with that, if you will, is you're not going to get as many plays in. Okay? Right. However, that's your emphasis on defense. That's our emphasis on defense, is swarming the football and putting 11 people around that football. So if we let that turn into we're just kind of gathered around, right? 1, 2, 3, swarm. That's not the emphasis. You understand what I'm saying? That's not how we imagine this thing going. Let's bring it back to that. Now, are you going to have to shave 4 reps out of practice? Maybe so. Maybe so. But what are you emphasizing? Are you emphasizing 30 plays? Or are you emphasizing the way that we do 26 of those plays? So it's certain things like that where we have to shake the tree and make sure, from a staff standpoint, from a player standpoint, from a treatment standpoint, from a strength and conditioning standpoint, there's not one detail that's overlooked.